All right, welcome back to another exciting episode here on Solving the People Puzzle, where on a bi-monthly basis, I bring you valuable guests and content, everything around HR and solving the people puzzle. And today I'm so excited to welcome with me on screen, not in studio, because Grant is in Cape Town, Grant from Connexa. Grant Langton, thank you so much for joining. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Francois, and thank you for having me. It's an absolute pleasure to join you.
Welcome to Solving the People Puzzle, the HR Thought Leadership podcast hosted by myself, Francois de Wet.
Grant, maybe before we get into the conversation today, if you could just share with the audience a bit about who you are and a bit about who Connexa is and the problem that you're solving.
Yeah, indeed. Communication, as we all know, is vitally important in any business. Whether you are talking internally to your staff, whether you are trying to communicate with clients, whether you're trying to sell something, promote, market, getting the best reach or the best engagement, getting your message out there is obviously, it's the goal. It's vitally important. So this was an idea that came up a couple of years ago, and a couple of people got around a table and came up with a way we feel of reaching the most people, of getting the message across. And hence Connexa was born about 3 years ago, give or take a few months. And again, I don't know if you wanted me to discuss how we do it or what we do, but the goal of the business was to get companies' messages, whether it be to staff members or their products, or promoting or marketing out there to the widest audience, to get the engagement, to get the return on investment, and to get the sales up.
Grant, so I'm hearing two things. One, a core word to the solution is communication, getting the message out. I think the second thing that sparked my attention immediately was 3.5 years ago reminds me of a very dark, scary period that we all went through globally. And I can imagine back then, something like communication was even more difficult to do and to get right. When you think COVID and you think hybrid, remote, teams being scattered across the globe, everybody at home, I think the first thing that was harmed back then was communication, right? And that organizations had to get right.
And I think you've hit the nail on the head. And I think a large part of this idea was spawned from those times. People were working from home. Not everyone was back in the office again. But then again, also online shopping came into play as well. We weren't necessarily in the shopping centers and getting out there in public, which, as you know. So we needed to find a way of reaching everybody again. And of course, that way is everybody has a cell phone. Probably everyone over the age of 15 has got a cell phone in this country, and some people have got two for some reason. So yeah, hence the idea was born, and probably accelerated due to those times. And I think post-COVID, which is really what we're referring to, a lot of companies have gone back, and there's sometimes hybrid models, but the communication remains, the importance of communication remains the same, and that's getting the message out to everyone, regardless of their geographic location, regardless of the LSM in the company, where they stand, where they work. They want the message to get to everyone.
So, Grant, let's just take the audience to exactly what does Connexa do. So, high level, is it an app? Is it an intranet? Yeah, how does it practically work?
Not at all, no. And it's a communications platform. And I'll start at the beginning again. What is the best way to get your message across to everyone in your business from an HR point of view? Let's use HR, which probably is about 65% of our business right now. Companies use email, but not everybody has access to email for obvious reasons. Network coverage, computers, hardware, that kind of thing. Some people use WhatsApp, but it can be quite expensive. It requires data. And with WhatsApp as well, we've also found that people find WhatsApp more of a personal thing, so it's a bit invasive.
I was about to ask, what about WhatsApp? So is it a WhatsApp and now I'm assuming you're going to say it's SMS.
So we do. We use SMS as our delivery method, and for a very simple reason, Francois. Everyone can receive an SMS. And that's a very important point. You don't need a contract. You don't need airtime. You don't need data. You can receive an SMS. So the message, as I said from the beginning, is to get what we are saying out to everyone. So that's the first hurdle, which we've now overcome. And then what we do is we personalize the messaging. Now, I must receive, I don't know about you, 6-7 messages a day, which mean nothing to me. They're absolute spam. So what we do is we personalize it. We brand the message, which again pushes the engagement ratio way up. If you get an SMS saying, "Hi, Francois, are you over 40?" No, sorry. "Hi, are you over 40?" Or something that doesn't mention anything that's relevant to you, you're just going to ignore it. It's spam. It's not meant for you. But if you get a message saying, "Hi, Francois, as a valued staff member of Wamly, it's got your attention. It called you by your first name. You are a staff member at Wamly. I'm not saying it's 100%, but there's credibility there and you trust it." So we personalize the messages. We only use opt-in databases or internal HR databases. And there's an education process behind that as well. And then we use links, secure links, which take the recipient through to a landing page. We brand that link. So it would say Wamly in your case, or Connexa in our case. And that is data-free, and that's very important. So when you click on the link and you go through to the landing page, anyone can click on the link. You don't need to have data. It's data-free. So it stops no one from going through to the landing page. And the landing page really is the brilliance. It's the magic of the product. The landing page can contain absolutely anything, Francois. It can contain images, graphics, text, videos, links, surveys. Pretty much anything that you can create on the Connexa platform can be on your landing pages. And again, it's data-free for the recipient. So you can put your monthly newsletter on the landing page. We do a lot of safety stuff for companies, a lot of check messages for companies. We do surveys. We do social stuff for companies as well. When you look at the engagement ratio, in the beginning, it's normally about 60 to 70%, which is very, very high, of people that have engaged. Yeah, very much. And we help companies. It's an educational process. People put messages on their salary slips that this is the new communication method. They put little posters up on the walls, just educating people. But the word spreads very quickly and people talk about it. Companies embed videos, staff messages, etc., etc. But the beauty of it is that we can also send reporting. So we can give companies reports. We can give them receipt reports, delivery reports. We can give them click or engagement ratios. So we can tell them exactly out of a database of 10,000 staff, 85% have clicked and have viewed the message, which is very, very important from an HR perspective in many aspects. Whether it be training, whether it be onboarding, whether it be legalities, whether it be about the two-pot system or company benefits, we can actually give them weekly or monthly reports, automated, who's clicked through and who's engaged. So that is also very important. And if you take that message outside of HR to promotions and marketing, you normally get about a 3% ratio with standard SMSs. And again, we're talking 60, 70% and above. Some of our HR clients are now in the 90s as word has spread. Their engagement ratio, their click-through rate, or they actually wait for the CEO's newsletter or a monthly update, etc., etc. They're familiar with it. They know it's theirs. They click on it and they engage.
One of the things that I'm hearing you say is we as humans and as employees are bombarded with technology. You've got email, you've got WhatsApps, you've got Slack, you've got intranet, you've got so many apps on your phone constantly begging and asking for your attention. So that's on the one end. On the other end, you have the organization needing to get a message across. And I know of so many organizations that are sending out communication. I mean, I think of some of the WhatsApp groups I'm on, and I'm often very, very in trouble because I miss messages that is not the fault of the sender. I just, for whatever reason, whether it is fatigue, whether it is my attention span, I just miss these communication channels and messages that are supposed to help me. They're supposed to give me value. So what I'm hearing you say is through the Connexa platform, you're utilizing SMS as the medium to drive people to a highly customized landing page, where on this landing page in the Connexa platform, you have so much flexibility and capability to design however you want the message to land. And then that in turn is driving up 60 to 70% engagement, where in some instances you're sitting with 3 to 5% on different solutions. And then the ROI and the reporting linked to this is actually valuable data back to the HR department or the CEO's office to show, listen, we are in a 10,000 staff audience engaging 6,000, 7,000 of these individuals that are receiving the message, opening it up. There's a click-through rate percentage, and we can see the engagement on the landing page. Is that more or less a good summary, Grant?
I think you've summarized it absolutely 100%. That's exactly what it is as well. And with the reporting as well, if you're at 60, 70 or 80%, we can obviously then tell you who hasn't clicked through. So we can do a re-campaign to those people. And also HR can get hold of them and say, what is the story? What is stopping you? Is it your attention span, as you've just said now? Is your phone off all the time, or have you changed your number? And a lot of people do change their numbers every couple of months. So refreshing the database and keeping it current is also very important, but we help them with that. And hence, when it starts off in the beginning, it's normally about 60 to 70% internally with HR, but it very quickly goes up to about 90% as the word and the message spreads as well.
Now, Grant, I've got a question for you. You touched briefly on various use cases. So let's help the audience understand where the utility or the usefulness of this tool and this technology is really powerful from your experience and perspective over the last couple of years.
Yeah, fantastic. And another very good question as well, because there's so many use cases. And again, it can be from promotional and marketing, but we're focusing on HR today, and it's quite heartwarming, some of the stories we get. And one of the use cases I will tell you about, one of our clients is the second largest, probably the second largest or the largest construction company in South Africa. Everything from construction to roads, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know if I'm allowed to mention names, but the CEO sends a monthly newsletter, Francois, and it's become very popular with the staff. That monthly newsletter tops over 90% engagement ratio every single month. People wait for it. We actually get messages if we get into the second or the third week of the month. Where's the newsletter? Have I missed it? What's going on? And one of the case studies the CEO used at their board meeting last year in August, she presented a case study of one of their staff members who was tarring roads in Swaziland. And this young man got hold of the CEO and just wanted to thank her for her monthly newsletter, for making him feel part of the business, for the updates. He now knows and understands what's going on in the business. And he was so happy. She has now branded the Connexa communication platform as hers. It is her product. There's 37 companies in this group, and we now represent all of them. So it's fantastic. We do them individually, but the monthly newsletter is the glue that binds them all together. The two-pot system, which came out, was quite confusing to a lot of people. They didn't quite understand it, but in some ways it was exciting. You could get some money in your bank account. In other ways, you needed to be cautious, because you're spending your retirement money as well. So we did a lot of work on the two-pot. We did a lot of videos explaining what it was all about, how to retrieve your funds if you needed to. But we also did it in multiple languages as well, Francois, which is very important. We gave the recipients the choice of clicking a language too. So that was fantastic news. And then a lot of companies use it for everything from onboarding, for training. Again, safety is massive. Check is very big as well. So the use cases in HR, we find we start off with something simple like communication, and then different departments put their hands up and say, well, we want to use it for this, or we want to use it for that. So it grows, and it just grows exponentially. And again, backed up by the reporting and the engagement from the staff, it becomes a tool that they actually love. It's something that's important to them, and they get their message across. So yeah, we're actually very proud of the HR side of our business.
Excellent. Grant, I want to land the plane for us by taking the conversation to what is the next steps? What is the vision? What's the dream? Who to build this for further? What to build further? I'm sure there are many plans. And yeah, I'd love to hear more about the vision of Connexa.
Thanks, man, Francois. And actually a very good question as well. The timing is perfect. We've just launched phase 2 right now. And that was for enterprise clients with very large databases. But it were databases that, according to their own company rules, they could not share with us. They could not impart with that. Obviously, privacy, client privacy, et cetera, et cetera. So we've just launched phase 2. And it's the ability for our customers, our larger customers, to manage the system themselves. To be able to load their databases, to be able to create their campaigns. We've got wonderful training videos. They can load them, and they can send messages at any time. And of course, only they can see it. The information is proprietary. So that was our phase 2, which we've just rolled out literally in the last month. So your timing of that question is fantastic. And then some various others, integration into financial platforms as well. Again, information that would be very sensitive. we've now expanded to that. We have an open API platform as well, so very easy to integrate into other platforms. But our phase 2 has been very popular with enterprise clients who be able to do it themselves and keep their information obviously private. So we're very excited about phase 2 at the moment.
Tell me, Grant, to end off with, from a psychological perspective, changing human behavior, understanding human behavior, to what extent is the solution landing? I know we've spoken about open rates, click rates, but from a sentiment perspective, is there feedback on the ground around, I'm happy to communicate via SMS? Because I have to be honest, like when I think communication, the first thing that comes to mind is not an SMS. I mean, I don't care about my SMSs. I don't care about how much Vodacom gives me or doesn't give me in my bundle. So it's fascinating for me to hear that there is a big space for SMS. And what is the psychological feedback on the ground around SMS and human behavior?
We do have that conversation every single day. Some people tell us that they thought that SMS was obsolete. But I want to tell you something, and we're in the communication business. So, we make it our business to stay on the forefront of what is going on, what's evolving, what's new, what's coming. And we can talk about the likes of RCS. We can talk about WhatsApp, the various communication platforms. And they're good. Francois, they're good. But it's very much horses for courses. When you're talking about an emerging market, when you're talking about Africa, SMS is going to be here for a long, long time. And simply because of the large difference in LSMs. We have the guys, again, tarring the road in Swaziland, and you've got the executives sitting in their offices with their aircon and their Wi-Fi and their laptop. So the disparity between the top and the bottom is massive. So SMS is always going to be around. It's very cost effective as well. The other communication platforms that I was mentioning do come with a bit of a price as well. So costs become a little bit pervasive. With communication, and this was the discussion we had years ago, and it has proven to be very successful, is you have to keep it simple. You have to keep it cost effective, and you have to reach everyone. Those three. You have to reach everyone, you have to keep it simple, and you have to keep it cost effective. And Connexa does that with our delivery mechanism. The beauty of our product, the brilliance of our product is the creation of the landing pages, of which, as mentioned, you can do pretty much everything. But we've kept it simple and very effective. I think that sums it up.
I think simple and effective is a great way to end the conversation. Grant, thank you so much for your time, for sharing your story. We're in a bit of a season where we're sharing stories, and you spoke so beautifully around the use case, the simplicity. So thank you for sharing that. I'm excited to see the growth of Connexa and potentially see the evolvement of it. I think this might just be the start. So thank you for your time, Grant.
Francois, thank you. Really, really appreciate having me on. And I'll keep you posted. I'll certainly keep you updated. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Let's do that. Have a lovely day.
Thanks so much for listening to Solving the People Puzzle. If you enjoyed today's episode, can you please go and like, subscribe, and even leave us a 5-star rating? If you have any questions around how to create the ultimate end-to-end hiring solution, head over to wamly.io so that we can help you hire better people faster. Catch you next time.